Welcome to the Freight Agent Insider Podcast, hosted by Levi Van Pay.
And welcome in, everybody. We are back. We are back, baby. Let's do it again. Let's run it back. Busy week this week. We've done 2 episodes. I was telling a friend of mine earlier that as much as I love these podcasts and the guests we have on and love the conversations, I'm glad it's Friday because I'm a little bit beat. It's been a long one. It's been productive. It's good. I hope all of your weeks were equally as productive. Lots of business, lots of fun, lots of freight. Before we start, if you could go like, subscribe, Freight Agent Insider on YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, and we are also on Apple Podcasts now. That was a bit of a tricky one getting set up there, but we are live. Everything is running through there. So if you're an Apple guy like me, you can find the podcast right there. If you could leave a review, 5-star on either Spotify or Apple Podcasts, that really, really helps us get out to a larger audience. Smash the bell icon for auto alerts to new episodes every Monday at 9 a.m. Central Time. If you have questions for our agents, ask them and we will answer them live. Just go to freightagentinsider.com. There's a page right there on the website. It's titled Talk to Us Live. All you do is there's a little button. You click it, you pre-record a message. We'll ask it live on the show. Let's get more people doing that. If you want to become a freight agent, you don't have experience and you don't know where to start, we got you covered. Go to freightagentinsider.com and you can start our Freight Agent Boot Camp. It's put together with all of the latest, greatest tips and tricks of all of our agent guests. It's now on sale, 25% off with discount code INSIDER. Before we started this show, the guest and I were about to have on, I mentioned to him, I was like, how do you like my shirt? And he's like, what does that say? I said, it's my name. It's Levi Scott with the Metallica, little Metallica thing. And I was like, I wanted that after I saw the movie Barbie, which I was a very big fan of. He's also a big fan of the movie Barbie. He said he went with his wife. He liked it more than his wife. I went with my mother. I liked it more than my mother. That's what we got going on here today. So without a further ado, big Barbie fan, the man, Maddie Collins.
Thank you.
Good to have you in, Maddie. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I got Barbie playing in the background right now. So
One of these days, I just noticed the picture frames are on the floor. One of these days, those things are going up on the wall. I know
yeah,
it.
yeah. One of these days. Not today. Not today.
No, not today.
Short context there. I have a nice office downstairs that recently got converted into a nursery. I got kicked upstairs above the garage. All of my stuff got thrown up here, and for the last 12 weeks, I've been up here 12 weeks now. I have not found any time to hang anything on the wall.
I know that because I think the last time we did a Zoom call or whatever together, those things were sitting there one day. But you have every excuse to not. I mean, newborn, congratulations.
Thank you.
New freight agent. I mean, you're a busy guy.
2026 is off to a wild start for sure. My wife told me that I'm crazy for doing all of these things at once, but I think it adds an element of fun to it. Rip the Band-Aid off and let's go.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Rip the Band-Aid off and just go all out with what you're doing. We've had a lot of discussions about, at one point you were a W-2 rep. Now you're a 1099 freight agent. A lot of discussion within there about transitioning customers, having a family, having a newborn. Is this the right time to do it? Do I wait? Last week we had Lacey Lampell on the show, who's a single mother, and she was W-2. She became an agent. She's crushing it. I don't know if there is an excuse, right? Like if it is something in your heart you want to do, you got to go all out for it. Now is the time to do it. Don't wait. Just go. Is that correct in assuming?
I think from a high level, yeah. I'm a classic overthinker. I play out all the scenarios. I'm trying to figure out, hey, when I do rip this Band-Aid off, what exactly is going to happen for the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, month? But there is an element of you really just have to decide that you're going to do it and you're going to go all in. And what my wife said to me, which was great, she said, what's the worst thing that could happen here? If you go for this, and let's say you spend 4, 5, 6 months, it doesn't turn out to be what you want it to be, go back to doing what you were doing before. It's not the end of the world. Here's the pass I'm giving you. Go do it, have fun with it, give it a shot. If it doesn't work out, we reevaluate and go back to what you were doing before.
It's as simple as that. I think we overthink this thing, the river of life, quite often. And whether it's we lose a job, we are making a change, you will land on your feet and everything will be okay. But it's still a massive decision. I mean, what was it, Maddie, that pushed you to leave the W-2 role and become 1099?
I noodled with it for 6 months, maybe longer. You know that you and I got connected probably last summer. I don't know, 8 months ago. And it was probably those discussions with my wife, right? She said, what scares you the most? What do you think you're not going to be able to do? What is it? The leaving the paycheck? Is it not being able to service your customers? And I kind of spent time thinking about, I've been in freight for 20 years, right? I made a post about this on LinkedIn the other day. I've been an asset carrier. I've been a shipper. I've been a W-2 broker. I have all of the skills to do all of these things. And I think the scariest part is starting from scratch, right? John Rogers talks about a W-2 paycheck being like a drug, right? And people are hooked on it. You get addicted to it. And I'll be honest with you, when that first Friday rolled around that I didn't have a W-2 paycheck, it hit me a little hard, man. I woke up that
Sure.
morning and I checked my bank account and I'm like, wait a minute, there's supposed to be X amount of dollars in here, and there's not. But I think the way that I've rationalized it is get in, work your ass off, and you're going to be able to replenish what that paycheck would have been quicker by coming out on the agent side and doing a good job.
I mentioned Lacey a minute ago, and I mentioned you having a newborn. Was there an added element of fear in that transition?
Initially, yes, but the greatest sale that I've ever been able to pull off in my life was getting my wife to go back to work after having the baby. So we timed it up to where she went back to work part time, not full time,
Sure.
not long after I made the transition. So that for me was a little bit of a safety net, right? Um, I think I think to your point, having the baby, he's 13 weeks old now, right? And I'm in my 8th week of doing this. It messes with your mind a little bit, right? Like, hey, it's not just me anymore. It's not just my wife anymore. I've got to provide for a baby too. So I need to make sure that I can get these things rolling off the ground. But being able to convince my wife to go back to work at least part time bought me a little bit of a more of a safety net for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, you're gonna be massively successful with this. I'm not in the slightest bit concerned about that with you, man. Like, some of our earlier conversations was exactly that. Like, even if it takes you a little bit to get it going, you're gonna be fine. One of my favorite quotes is, "If you wanna take the island, burn the boats." If you wanna take the island, burn the boats. What that means is you burn the boats, meaning you don't have an option B. There is no turning back around. You can't get on the boats, they're gone. You have to take the island or you're gonna die trying. Um, don't have a plan B because it distracts from plan A. It's a all-in viewpoint. I know maybe not everybody shares that, but that's my take on this. And I think having a kid, and maybe if you are a single mom, single dad out there, or if you have a spouse, you don't have to be single doing this. Just go into it with the thought process of I'm gonna make this work for my kid.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that was one of the hard parts for me. It's easier for me to see it now, right? But as the scenario player that I am, that was one of the hardest things for me to overcome was not having a plan B, right? In my early stages of trying to decide if I wanted to do this, I tried to figure out what is my plan B? What can I quickly pivot to if this doesn't work? And I had to get to a spot where I threw that out of my mind. It's not there anymore, right? This is it. This has to work. What are the things that I have to do to make it work so that I don't have to have a plan B?
Yeah. And right before we even hopped on here, I mean, you're like, "Hey, hang on, we can't start this yet. I got drivers calling me." All right, big shooter, like if you don't have time for this, like, hey, that's good. Like any very busy agent, I mean, you're making it happen.
Anybody watching this probably knows if you have a driver calling you, it's likely not just to say hey and check in and see how your Friday is going. So I wasn't quite sure how that call was going to go, but here we are. We're making it happen.
For all the agents watching, like, you got to remember with this show, it is pre-recorded. It's pre-recorded for a reason. We're talking with big agents. We're talking with people that are taking these calls at all times. So we pause this show throughout so you could take the call. So if that's ever like a possible deterrent for you, just remember, like, we're set up to allow you to do those things. It is kind of nice too, Matt, that like it seems like your wife was on board with this. It's funny throughout my time working with agents how often, husband is a big broker, he's looking to become an agent. Wife is a big broker, she's looking to become an agent, and convincing the other party that this is not some sort of pyramid scheme. You would be surprised how often that comes up.
She was definitely an advocate for it, and part of it is probably because I haven't stopped talking about it for 6 months, and she just wanted to shut me up. Like, "Go do if going to do it will shut you up, then that's great." But, my wife she's very smart, she's amazing, she owns her own business as well, and I think for me, that's a benefit because I've been able to bounce things off of her of, "Hey, how did you set up your LLC? How do you what does your accountant do for your payroll? How do I go into a government system and log in and do this and that?" She's done all that, and she's owned her own business for almost 10 years, right? So I think part of it too is she is an entrepreneur. And so like seeing that that was something I wanted to do, she was able to encourage me because of the good experience she's had.
That's awesome. And if you don't have that type of support system, maybe you're just a single guy or girl that's doing this. Don't let that be a deterrent for you. Like something that I've begun kind of advocating for is, and I'm advocating for it because I'm literally using this every day now, which is a little bit scary, but it's the AI stuff, like whether it's Grok or Claude. If there's something I don't know about something and I really want an answer to, wow, you will have instant access to that information, whether it's setting up your LLC, do whatever the things you just mentioned, Matt. It's all kind of right there for you. To
So something that I've been talking to Dan about at Ally is we've got like an agent hub, a portal, and I'm sure you guys have something similar to this at Select, like a portal where you can go in and like get help or have just an avenue to explore things. But I've asked Dan to go in and kind of put maybe like a agent 101, some docs in the agent hub about, hey, how do I start my LLC? How much do I need to keep out for taxes while I'm paying myself? What are all of the things behind the scenes that you need to be thinking about as a new agent that these guys have already lived it, right? They have the
That's
experience.
right.
They've been doing it for a long time. How can we build some support and structure into the agent hub to help new people as they're coming on navigate through some of those challenges?
That's a beautiful thing. I really like that. And on a broader picture, I think it speaks to the importance too of support, whether it's something like that or it's just somebody you can call up and or message or whatever it is, somebody you can reach out to operationally inside who you'd say, "Hey, how do I do this?" But I've noticed that the agent programs that are starting to kind of bleed their agents, they're not as quick to respond anymore. And I'm noticing it's larger agent programs that are kind of bleeding these agents a little bit. They've gotten to a comfortable level where it's all the things we talk about don't doing. Like the W-2, all of a sudden it's Friday afternoon, you've stopped responding. It's no different inside of some of the larger agent programs, some of the smaller ones, whatever, the ones that aren't really working out.
And I wonder if that can be attributed to some of the larger programs taking on too many agents at once, right? Maybe you're taking on more agents and not hiring enough support staff to go along with that, right? It's maybe, hey, how many agents can I bring on and grab the money, and then let's see, let's test the support level until it breaks, and then maybe we need to hire. I think there's a lot to be said about scaling an agent program the right way, the smart way, right? The way that I operate and everything I do is crawl, walk, run. I am not trying to jump off of a high dive into anything. I like to have things figured out, and there's a process for things. And I think the faster you go, oftentimes, not always, right? I know a lot of people like to go fast, but for me personally, the faster I go, the more mistakes there are. And I think that can be said with growing too fast, even with the customer, right? I think it's really easy to get into an RFP situation, or maybe you get a call from a customer for help, and
Sure.
the salesperson comes out in you, and you just say, "Take everything. I want it all. I want to do as much as I can." And then maybe you get yourself underwater, right? And then trying to help turned into causing a bigger problem. So I subscribe to Crawl Walk Run, and I think there's probably some agent programs out there that are just maybe they're going too fast.
Yeah, and there's something to be said about, I've had the question 1,002 times over the years of, Levi, what sets your agent program apart? And for those that don't know this, I don't talk about it much, but I do a lot of agent recruiting. I've done a lot of agent recruiting. And the question that constantly popping up about what sets your agent program apart. Here's the secret to any agent program out there, the successful ones, the ones that are growing quickly and everybody's going there and everybody wants to say this is the best one. Even if it is, even if everything was perfect, it will hit a critical mass. It will get to the point where the customer saturation, all the accounts are sucked up. All the worse if there's an in-house brokerage arm that is working accounts. If you decide to leave and they're taking accounts, that's another topic. But once that critical mass is hit, good luck. If you want to expand your business and every other account that you're trying to reach out and talk to is already being worked with and there's a protection status on them, how are you going to grow? So there is a limit to how good a program can be. And say what you will about that, I guess, Matt.
I Yeah, I mean, I think if you're trying as an agent to go in and grow, I think it's natural to try to want to go after big fish. And if you're going into a big agency program, they're probably already working with a lot of the big people, right? Or the accounts are in the prospecting stage and it's, under someone's name and you can't even call and prospect them. But I think a lot of the value for agents is more in the small business, mid-market customers, right? You as an agent are not going to be able to walk into Walmart, transportation home office and say, "Hey, I want to do 40,000 loads this year," right? You don't have the capacity to do it. They're not going to give it to you. They're working with all the big asset carriers. So I think for me, Ally Logistics has a brokerage and their agency program is really new. And in the conversations that we had about it, we shared some customers that I have that I want to try to bring over, some that they're working with, and there were no conflicts about who they're working with versus who I would try to call on. So I think proactively having those conversations, if you are an agent and you're already working with Walmart, Tyson Foods, some of those big guys, right? All you got to do is ask up front, is this available to me or not? And then you have the conversation about it.
Yeah, and you brought up a really good point there, Matt, about your brokerage having that in-house arm. And I'll back up a little bit by saying that that's not a bad thing. I think I made it sound a little bit worse there in that last segment. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing, but I think there is a question to be asked up front of, hey, if I ever decide to leave, what happens to my customer information? Is there something you're putting in writing that dictates you are not reaching out to them? I mean, because you got to remember, brokerage now has all of the lane data. They have all the customer contact information. Hell, they know your margins. They know how much to undercut you by. So it's worth that conversation. And that's what I'm getting at.
It certainly is, and I think, you can come through the contract and talk about contracting and signatures and what goes where, but I think there's an element of trust that goes into it too, right? If you're signing onto a program, and you're talking to the leadership team, I think you have to have a really good gut check feel for it, right? You can listen to what's being said, but if you leave the call and feel like, man, maybe they're just telling me what I want to hear versus like
Sure.
actually meaning
Yep.
it, I think there's a lot to that. But at the same time, if you have customers and you're an agent and you leave somewhere and move somewhere, if they're willing to go with you no matter what, and they tell you, hey, even if you leave and this brokerage wants to come undercut you, I'm not going to work with them anyways, right? I think the relationship
Yes.
has to be with the customer and the agent program both.
That's a excellent point. And on the topic of customers moving with you, and we've talked about that a little bit in months prior. Speak to the people about if you are looking to make a move, whether it's from the W-2 side to the agent side, or maybe you're an agent now and for whatever reason you have to move to a new program. Is there any hardship right now in this current market with getting customers to move with you, not because of the relationship you have with the transportation manager or whomever your contact is, rather maybe their boss or their boss's boss or the board or whoever is simply saying, hey, look, we're not onboarding new transportation partners right now?
it ain't easy. I'll say that, right? In any landscape, this landscape specifically, but in any landscape, it's not easy. And I think as an agent, it's important for you to realize all of the levers that are happening in the background in order to make that move. As an agent, maybe you think, hey, this transportation manager that says he wants to move with me, he can walk over to the cubicle next to him and talk to his boss. A piece of paper gets signed and it's done. It's not that easy. Oftentimes, there are procurement teams involved that have to do vetting. I've talked to some shippers who have said, "Hey, we're interested, but we're so small internally. We have to do a project internally to evaluate what the scope of transitioning from one to another is,
Yep.
and then our private equity firm, we've got to go to them and we've got to say, hey, we're changing transportation providers. Here's why. Maybe we're saving a little bit of money. Maybe we're getting a better service. But there are so many people involved in a lot of cases. It's not just one person, right? There's a
Right.
decision maker that has to report to a decision maker that has to report to a decision maker. And I think it's important to understand all of the levers that have to be pulled. And if all of those people agree to pull those levers, you probably can feel pretty good about it, right? But if you're just talking to one guy in a warehouse that schedules trucks or tenders you loads, you probably haven't double clicked in enough to know that they're for sure going to follow you.
Yeah. Very well said, Matt.
New customer lockdown.
All right, brother. Talk to us about it. Making this move and not rebuilding a book, but onboarding new customers. I know you've locked a couple new ones down lately. What's it been like? Like just the transition moving over, all of a sudden you're doing a lot of cold calling, I'm sure. Or whatever. Talk to us about how you're finding your customers and what all goes into it and how you're building those relationships.
Anybody that knows me that's watching this from a previous brokerage I worked at or whatever, I'm not a huge cold caller. I don't love getting a list of names in an Excel file and just blowing through them as fast as I can.
Brutal.
Yeah, it really is, man. And I try to spend time really doing homework and dialing into what I consider to be good opportunities. Maybe it's a business segment that I'm already working in. Maybe it's I see an article where a shipper came out and said they're growing in a specific region. They're adding a new DC, and hey, I'm moving a similar lane to that. Right? I try to double click and dial in really specifically that way. But I am fortunate to have worked on the shipper side of the world for 6 years. And a lot of people that I used to work with when I was a shipper have left that specific shipper and gone to other companies and are shippers there now too. So I really am able to lean on a network of folks that I know and trust, and it's almost like I've been able to work with friends, which makes this really enjoyable. Right? I know these people. I know I've met their wives. I know how many kids they have. I've had dinner with these folks thousands of times, and so for me, I'm not a huge cold caller. I know that it works. I know it's a strategy. I'm not bashing it for anyone out there that's going to say, "Why don't you cold call?" Right? It's not my style. I like to really try to create relationships with folks and lean on relationships that I already have and try to help them out as best I can.
And you're really good at that, man. So here I was earlier today. I was taking a shower and I was thinking about you. And what had popped into my brain was that dude is, first of all, I was thinking, I'm really looking forward to the show this afternoon. But it was also, it's very rare that I have met anybody in freight that makes me feel like I can just like truly 100% be myself. So I had all these warm and fuzzies thinking about you in the shower this morning. Um,
We're gonna call that the after dark portion of the podcast. I don't know how much we need to go further into that.
the point of the point of all of that is it is a skill, making people feel comfortable, and that is, it's so key when you're talking about tapping a network, finding new customers, building referrals, those relationships that you have with your shippers. If you, I don't know, maybe they think about you in the shower as well. And if they are, I imagine you're going to grow pretty quickly.
whatever gets me business. If folks got to picture me in the shower to get some load sent my way, I can be okay with that. Hopefully my wife doesn't watch this podcast. Maybe she'll have some issues with it. I don't know.
She's gonna
But
say,
yeah,
"Who's that?
like,
Who is that dude with the Barbie inspired T-shirt talking about thinking about you in the shower?" All right, on to let's move off of this. This is getting ridiculous.
Horror stories and pitfalls.
All right, brother. Before we started this, you asked me how gnarly can I get with this. Dial it up to 10. What do you got?
I don't know. Are you wanting specific transition horror stories, or are you wanting me to dig back into my 20 years of freight bucket and talk about some wild stuff?
If you haven't suppressed it completely and you still remember it, yeah, by all means.
It's not possible to do that. I wish I could. It's like, man, once you're in freight, stuff just you remember stuff for a really long time.
That's right.
I don't know. When we first started talking, I was trying to figure out the best story to tell. I'll go way back to 2006. All right.
Wow.
I'm a
The
I'm a
archives.
20 I'm a 20-year-old guy sitting at maybe I shouldn't name drop. Maybe you cut that part out. I'm sitting at my first corporate transportation job,
Yep.
and I'm working night dispatch fleet manager. Right. It's some pretty crazy hours. It's like 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. or something crazy. And now 2006, this is before smartphones, right? There's no iPhones, there's no Androids. So most of the calls that I was getting from drivers overnight were they're looking for directions, maybe, right? Or hey, I ran out of gas. You got to send me a com check so I can have someone come fill my gas up. Whatever. Most of the time, I watched Netflix on my laptop or did homework when the phone wasn't ringing. So it wasn't too crazy. But one night, I get a phone call. It's after midnight. It's super late, and I get a call from this driver, and he locked his keys in his truck. Okay, and this happened every now and then, and what you gotta do is just get them a comm check. You gotta find a locksmith somewhere close by, send them out, they pop the truck, you pay them with the comm check, they move along. All right, so it's like midnight, about an hour goes by. I try to call the locksmith. I'm checking in with him, to see if he made it to the truck, got him in the truck, driver's gone, whatever. Locksmith
Mhm.
doesn't answer. Kinda strange. So I call the driver doesn't answer. Kinda
Mm.
strange. I can't go home at 2 a.m. until all of this is figured out. So I'm just sitting
Right.
around twiddling my thumbs, trying to resolve this scenario before I can go home. I finally get a call at it was after 2 a.m. It was like 2:15, 2:20 from a state trooper somewhere out in the Carolinas. I don't remember the exact location, but he says, "Hey, are you Matt Collins?" And I said, "Yes, sir." And he tells me he's a trooper, and he asks if I am the dispatcher or know the driver that was involved. And yeah, I know this guy. Yeah, I sent a locksmith out. Long story short, I told you in the beginning, I tell long stories. Long story short, this driver had met with the locksmith on the side of the road. He hit him over the head with a baseball bat and knocked him out, and then stole the money and drove off. Right. So this is what the state trooper's telling me. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I can't go home till this is over. Remember?
Right.
So now I'm psycho dialing the driver. I'm calling, not answering. Redial. Right? I'm blowing this guy up. This was before we had like ELD tracking and all this stuff.
Right.
I don't know where this dude's at. All right.
Right.
This guy answers the phone. It's like 3:30 in the morning. I'm pissed because it's 3:30 in the morning and I've got class at like 7 or 7:30.
Yeah.
Right? I'm mad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey man, did you get in your truck? Yeah, man, I got in the truck. Thanks for sending the locksmith out. I'm headed down the road. All is well. All right. Well, I got a call from the state trooper out wherever you're at saying that you knocked the guy out and you drove off without paying him and you hit him with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, the driver goes, "Yeah, yeah, I did that." Right? And I'm like, "Okay, well, I need you to pull over because you're gonna get arrested. They know where
Yeah.
you're headed and they're coming for you." And he agrees to everything. He pulls over, he gets arrested. And so, I don't know if this is the kind of horror story you're looking for, but this is something that
I
I
think it's
remember
great.
from 20 years ago that happened. Dude, it was just crazy back then on night dispatch. But I talked to the locksmith the next night when I come in and I'm like, "Man, I'm so sorry that, like, I set you up for this. I feel so bad." And, it wasn't my fault. I had no idea this was gonna
Yeah.
happen, but I set this guy up to get clocked with a Eason bat at 2 AM on the side of the road. And, I don't know what happened with it. I didn't follow it all the way through. I'm sure that this dude, maybe sued the driver. I don't even know, but, there's
It's
there's
so
one from the vault for you.
that's a great one, man, and it really is, like, it's I don't know. I'm not an agent, so I don't know how stressful these things are in the moment, but, like, the beauty of this industry is you're rarely gonna have a repeat day. Like, there's something new happening with these people every single day. We got a fun episode coming up. I'm so excited for this. It might be, like, next month, but Anik Lesage, shout out Anik. She's gonna come on, and if you don't know Anik, she's really big on TikTok. So her whole agency life is on there, and we're gonna film an episode talking about her driver interactions that she has on TikTok, and they are abundant and they are ridiculous. I think so I did driver recruiting for a long time, and drivers are interesting, and I'll leave it at that.
There are a million phenomenal drivers out there that are great communicators, they're great executors, they do a great job. But there are an equal number of characters out there that they keep you on your toes, man. And you said it right. No 2 days are the same. And I think that's what's kept me in this industry for 20
Yeah.
years. I am not a person that can sit and push the same button for 8 hours every day doing the same thing. I love curveballs, challenges, things that go wrong, problem solving. I think that's what's so
Yeah.
fun about this industry.
I love the characters.
Freight Agent Insider Tips for Success.
All right, Matt. Any tips that you've got for the listeners before we put a bow on this one?
I think, for anybody listening that's considering making the move, do your homework, right? But don't overdo your homework. We kind of talked about it at the beginning of the episode. If you have the skills to operate a business like this, if you have the skills to do it, don't overthink it. Rip the band-aid off. Go for it. I promise you that it is a worthwhile thing to do. I'm 6, 7, 8 weeks in, and I've worked a lot. The hours that I've worked have been exponentially more than I was working in my W-2, but I'm trying to get this thing off the ground, right? It takes a lot to grow right out the gate. Not a lot of people are going to start on day one and build 100 loads, right? You've got to have a glide path to go from start to finish and understand what your goals are, map it all out, but go for it. Don't be shy.
I imagine working more though also has been more rewarding. Working these long hours, 1099 for yourself versus the W-2 role.
Absolutely. When
Is that
when
true?
you
Okay.
when you have the control and you can make the decisions for yourself and the money that you're earning is coming directly, it's insanely rewarding. There have been days that I've noticed I've worked 14 hours, but it doesn't feel like 14 hours all the time, right? The days go by fast.
That's right. You made a really good point there too, just to wrap this up. You made a really good point about don't overthink it. And that's also true when you're looking for an agent program. The only tip that I can give on that front is twofold, I guess, is number one, find the best home for yourself, but probably equally or more important, your customers. Make sure that on the operational side of things, they're going to be taken care of, whether the back office support or needing assets, whatever it is. Make sure that's covered. The second thing is don't immediately jump at a program that sounds too good to be true, because a lot of times it is. And I'm running into this again and again with really, really good agents that I'm missing. They're going to a different program. What I've seen is they're going to like these brand new carrier-based agent programs where it's a carrier that's never done anything agent related, but they're trying to cash in on what they think is a money grab of, oh, I don't do anything. The agent just pays me a split. It's not how it works. It's much, much deeper than that. Go to something that's tried and true. Make sure that the leadership at those programs has been there, done that. They know what they're doing. They're real operators as opposed to maybe they're overseas. Maybe they're a rich kid that just wanted to dive into this because they thought it was a good opportunity. Make sure that they're available. Make sure that they know what's going on in this space.
The only thing I'll add to the end of that is, well, you're absolutely right, and I think a lot of the deciding factors these days are, the 75 versus the 70 split, or I've seen some wild ones at 80 or 85 or whatever. Sometimes that extra 5%, it's not worth all the headaches that you're going to get if you're not set up to be successful by the program that you're working for. So, it's easy to chase the dollars and see that, hey, this could be 5% could be, $1,000 more dollars in my bank account every month. But if that $1,000 costs you lack of sleep, 4 a.m. phone calls, problems you got to deal with that you're not getting help on, it's not worth $1,000.
No, it's not. And there is definitely something to be said about these splits. It's something I said for a long time is, and there's truth to this to a point. If the split is getting too high, then there's going to be something on the back end that's lacking. And I can promise you, if you're listening to this and you're thinking about making the move, that line is very, very close to 70, max 75%. If you're getting an offer for a flat 80, 85, 90, whatever it is, well, at that point, it's probably too good to be true.
You're on the island without a boat, is what you are.
Yeah.
To come full circle, Levi.
That was smooth. That was smooth. Johnny on the spot here. Matt Collins, everybody. This was a lot of fun. Thanks for joining me, Matt. Guys, if you could, again, if you have Spotify or if you have Apple Podcasts, please go there. And if you haven't liked, subscribed, whatever, but leave a review. It takes 4 seconds. Drop a 5-star, leave a quick review on Apple Podcasts. It just helps get this out to more people. We want more people because then we can do this longer. So with that said, guys, thanks for joining. Next Monday, 9 a.m. Central Time, as always, we got another fun episode. Matt, thanks again for joining.
Thank you for watching the Freight Agent Insider Podcast. Like us and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, and LinkedIn.